right? Physical traumas, emotional traumas, and chemical traumas,
Mhm.
which create blockages of energy and actually flow of the nervous system. So once they activate their lotus flower, then they can connect to the other, which is in a romantic sense or also with our children, because our
Mhm.
children is also a romantic relationship, right?
Yeah.
Totally. It's like the highest form of love that there is in this existence. You would not sacrifice yourself the way you do it for your children.
Yeah.
I would not give my life for anybody but my son. And sacrifice comes from sacro facere, making sacred, from the Latin. Then it brought this more negative connotation, but initially it's that making sacred. So we're talking about motherhood, right? So that flower that is so feminine, it's nurturing and it's protecting the seed. We are the guardians of the seed,
Mhm.
right? That's our function, biological function, let's say. We're the guardians of the seed. And the children, they are embedded in our body, literally. And when they come out, they are embedded in our electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
So all our emotions, all our thoughts, they are permeating our children.
Yeah.
They are a sponge. So we have to be very careful until they are 7. At 7, they start to explore their own individuality and therefore, uh, being more aware of their own biofield, what they like, what they
Yeah.
think, what they feel. But before that, it's all just a reflection of what we are nurturing with them and bringing into our field.
Mhm.
I wasn't that aware of these things when I had my son. I was in a very complicated situation. I divorced when my son was 3 or 4. So imagine how my biofield was completely distorted, corrupted, not harmonic. And that creates trauma in the kids, in the
Yeah.
children. So as they grow up, they develop their personality, right? And when they are in the teenagers phase, they just want to disrupt with everything because they are in their own journey. Um, so for me, the key for the successful motherhood is to have the support of the male and the
Yeah.
community, right?
Yep.
But there is, unfortunately, there is this idea that the community can replace the father, that the government can replace the father, that the money can replace the father. And that is completely wrong. Even though what I shared with you about creating this community, we were only 7 women, and then like 10 women joined, and then a couple of uh, families joined. So we were total 24. And we
Mhm.
did all this in 6 months. It was crazy. But we kind of knew each other. At
Yeah.
least the core 6 women, 7 women. We were all single mothers. And so, again, why did we do that? Out of necessity, right? Necessity is the key of inventions, the key of creativity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was good to have the community. It was key to have the community, but the lack of masculinity was evident and affected the kids, affected the structure, the boundaries. And because the mother has to step in the masculine in order to set those boundaries, set that safety, we forget to nourish, to nurture.
Yeah.
it's impossible to do both things at the same time. We want to think that it's possible, but it's impossible.
And it's so
And I'm
confusing
gonna
for the
give you,
kids too.
yeah, and I'm gonna give you a perfect example. If you are breastfeeding, you cannot be building. And in order, the breastfeeding is such a sacred process, right? It's not just milk, is the baby is receiving through the breast, embedded in your electromagnetic field, all the emotions, all the calm, all the hormones. So if you're stressed, high cortisol, that is going to go through the milk. And it's not about feeling bad for the situation, but at least being aware.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about my story right now. I could barely breastfeed for 3 months. And I remember hearing about people being really upset about not being able to breastfeed. And I'm like, girl, I'm not going to be that upset. Like, it'll be done. But oh my gosh, was I sobbing away. And it really felt like I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to give my baby, like, now I have to give her something that might not be as good as this. Like, it felt really horrible. And a lot of, like, you just brought up a couple of things about like the, not having the boundaries and the structure with a male around. Like a lot of single mothers are like, I can do it all. They've left me to do it. I can do it. Now I've done it. I'm doing it well, and I'm going to keep going. And this attitude, and we're ignoring the fact that there's a system, or at least there's a, like a core type of thing that a child needs. There's a core nervous system feeling that a child needs, and you can't actually get it from both. You can get certain things, and for years, like, it can work, but it's not something that you should permanently be okay with. And I think that's what a lot of people are. It's because of the dating pool. It's because of how they feel about themselves and what they have going on right now. But also, the dating pool is a big thing. You might feel like you want to jump back in there, but for the wrong reasons. And then the dating pool's not even up to par. So there is a lot of, things that play into that. But I think it's really important that you have, and I want to talk about this towards the end, the focus of finding that partner that is going to help you water your plants, water your seeds.
Yeah, and well, the dating pool is just a reflection of you. It's a mirror. So the dating pool is there, and if you change, if you vibrate,
Hmm.
you will resonate and you will tune into the right polarity, which I call omega magnetism, and then you will find it. But if you're vibrating in anxiety, hatred towards men, victimization, a sadness, all that will be reflected on the dating pool. So it's an
Yeah.
inner work. It starts
Yeah.
there. Now, regarding the nurturing, when you were talking, um, it is exactly like that. So we're very focused on the materialistic aspect of nourishing. Oh yeah, it's getting the minerals through the formula and this and that, and it's growing, and you see that it's growing. But the emotional aspect, which is the responsibility of women, we want the men to tap into their emotional, and we want to put them to do our work because it's so evident. And this is related to the flowers code. So we have the positive polarity in our chest. This is why the chest goes forward. And we have negative polarity in our first and two chakras. No, the first chakra, sorry. This is why we are going inward. And the men have a positive polarity, therefore, they have their joystick stepping out. They are givers, right? We are receptors. Um, and then at the chest level, we are givers. We have this positive polarity. And so when you're breastfeeding, you're not just nourishing the body, you're nourishing the soul, you're nourishing the emotional body and the mental body, the emotional stability. So unfortunately, you were only able to do it 3 months, but at least you did it 3 months. Now, I did it for 2 years, and it was my
Ooh.
favorite thing. It's one of the things that I miss the most. Unfortunately, I only had one child. I recommend everyone that is listening, if you have the chance to have two, immediately, as soon as possible, have them. It will make your life easier, actually. Yeah, like people think no because of the money. It's not the money.
Uh-huh.
It's how they learn from each other, how they make company to each other. If you only have one, you will have to make a lot of time to make play dates with family that don't have your same values. So yeah, but that's a whole other topic. Now here in terms of nourishing, um, the breastfeeding process is sacred. Um, and it also helps with the speaking process because they as they suck, especially the first 9 months, they develop way better their jaw, so their learning language
Yeah.
process
Mhm.
is improved, their pronunciation is improved, the whole musculature is developed through sucking from the teeth. Of course, these artificial things also
Yeah.
kind of do the job, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's just an imitation.
It's imitation, yes. Yeah, go ahead. I lost my point.
Yeah, no, we're like kind of at the end of my questions, and I still want to talk about, this need for that partnership with a male, masculine, and how can softness also be a form of like how is the softness and the roughness like I'm thinking of right now, you saying they have the joystick and like, but how is that, though that being that yin and yang, I kind of think of how important is that and what do you like I'm actually curious of your thoughts on like the yin and yang type of aspect of like a soulmate or just like a connection in general when it comes to a family, growing a family with someone.
Yeah, very important question. It's all about polarity, and that's a huge, long topic that is gender related, and people don't like to hear about it.
Yeah,
We
actually, when
like
I
to.
said it, I actually kind of paused, like, oh, should have said what's that?
Um, uh, we have certain strength as women that men don't. And men have certain strength that we don't. Doesn't mean that we cannot replace um in case of absence, right? Let's
Yeah.
say the men go to war, they die, you're a widow, you have to do the job. But um, aiming to be a single mother on purpose, like they do in Finland, or these women that want to reproduce in vitro without a man, that's delusion. That's nonsense. That is actually completely disrespectful with the masculine principle, and they are going to suffer those consequences in the process of raising a child.
Hmm.
It is going to reflect. I'm not saying that it's better to be in a toxic relationship. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to be in a toxic relationship. Nobody should. The way to avoid a toxic relationship is to cultivate the erotic intelligence before choosing a partner. So, erotic intelligence includes the whole understanding of your flower, right? Of the polarity, of the resonance, and also on how to choose a proper, adequate partner for you, how to
Yeah.
recognize. We don't even know how to recognize our feminine lineage is so broken that we don't know how to recognize. And then we give our flower to the wrong man. And then we are in an uncomfortable situation, but we are
Yeah.
the only ones that are responsible. I'm not justifying the boy man for his actions, but you chose the boy man
Hmm. Hmm.
because you unfortunately didn't know. I'm not talking about you, Janelle, but us, let's say, because I
But
did.
no, I think of myself all the time, and I've had to, I compare, how I thought about it in the beginning when, things officially ended and how I think about it now. And like, it is something that you have to change your brain towards because a lot of people will just ignore, like, "Nah, I didn't choose them. They did this to me, blah, blah, blah." But no, you chose them, you stayed with them. And yes, there are many things that you can recognize and identify that were reasons why you did what you did. But at the end of the day, because you weren't healed or you didn't look inside yourself or you didn't, recognize these things that you were doing, you chose this person and now you have a child with them. So it definitely is important to, I think there's a couple of things in this podcast today that people are going to be hit in the chest with what you're saying. Like, oh, well, she's because even me, a couple of things like in 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, like, no, like that's not true, or that's not how it
Yeah,
went, or
yeah,
like I wouldn't say it
that's
like that, but no, like there are some raw truths I have to tell myself, or just God has had to show me that, like, yeah, yeah, what you gonna, an invitation. It's an invitation. And it's like,
yes. And so what I want is that the young women have this knowledge from as early as possible so that they can choose properly in the
yes,
right moment. We as women, we have a window of fertility that goes, from the
just gonna talk
20s
about
to
that.
35. Yes, they want to say, no, until 40. Yes, you can reproduce at 40, maybe. Not every woman is fertile at 40, first of all. Then there is this whole business of in vitro treatments, artificial reproductive treatments, freezing eggs. That's all, industrial. Okay, that's all artificial. That's all marketing and business. When it comes to natural reproduction, there is a window. And not only that, you can even be fertile at 40, 42, 45. But good luck with dealing with a teenager when you're 60 years, when you're 55 years.
Yeah,
Nobody wants that. Like the baby phase is the cutest, the easiest. You can go with them everywhere. They are just absorbing, they are very receptive, they are in a receptive mode. As they grow, they want their own direction.
yeah,
That creates a lot of conflict. Not conflict in the bad sense, but it's just it needs a different engagement from the parent point of view.
yeah,
And so, as I was saying, if you choose the right partner, a lot of things will be blessings and not burdens.
yeah,
Um, so I say all the time, being a mother or becoming a mother was the best thing that happened, or one of the best thing that happened to me, but becoming a single mother was the worst.
yeah,
Okay, because I cannot fully function as I should, as I want, as my heart wants. Like you were only able to breastfeed 3 months. I'm sure it was stress. Out of the stress, your body just shuts down
yeah,
the progesterone, which is needed to produce all this milk.
yeah,
And it is, and it's out of survival. So
yep,
if you are in survival mode alone, you cannot be nurturing. And this comes back to your initial question, the softness. So in order to develop the softness, we need a strong man nearby.
yeah,
Um, women think that because they are strong, they're gonna get a strong man. No, you can be resilient as a woman. You can be wise. Like our ability as women is connecting to the afterlife. We have the cervix. That's, the portal to life is the cervix. And so every time you give birth, you're also in that line, fine line that divides life and death. You're very close to death every time you give birth. So
yeah,
our connection to intuition, to wisdom, is just more natural. And so why don't we cultivate that? A man, again, he has this joystick penetrating the material energy. He has the bio potential, the avatar, the perfect body to do that job, right? And we have the perfect body to give birth, to be the guardians,
mhm,
to protect, to nurture. So it doesn't mean that women cannot be leaders. They can be leaders in their own field, but we're trying to be leaders in the masculine field. And we are giving up our own spaces. We're giving up the reproductive. power to the companies. In vitro, free sex, we're giving up that power. And so the powers of the feminine are seduction, inspiration, wisdom, nurturing, right? Caring. Those are natural powers. Of course, there are women that have other tendencies. Perfect. But it is a question of you being honest with yourself. Where do I thrive? Where do I feel good?
Yeah.
And not going against yourself because the society tells you that you have to have a PhD. And then they have a PhD and they think they can have the best man because of that. And that is not true. That's a lie.
Yeah.
So I recently saw some data about the women after 40s that have no kids. Uh, 80%, 70 to 80% regret it. So 10% is true that a lot of women don't want children, and that is perfect. That is perfect. Nobody has to judge that. Um, but there are some women that the other 10% wanted to have kids, but they couldn't for fertility reasons. And the other 70 to 80% of women plus 40 that don't have kids regret it. And what are the reasons? It was because of the circumstances. Either they didn't find the right partner, or they gave priority to other things in their life,
Mm.
or I forgot what's the third reason. But
I'm
it all
thinking of
comes
one
to
staying with the same person for 10, 15 years or staying with someone too long and then yeah.
right on, right on. You're so intuitive. That's exactly the third reason I was looking for.
I was when you started saying them, I was like, I can tell you one, staying with someone way longer than their expiration date.
Yes. And it's true that men also have a window of fertility. You know, they
Mhm.
maybe until 45, 50, they have really good sperm. Then it can have less quality, maybe less mobility or more pathologies. But I think it's mainly because of modern life. But the reality is that men can reproduce until they are 70. And so who is the responsible of choosing? Again, the feminine lineage is the responsible for choice, and you can easily argue with the fact that we have to deal with 9 months of that being inside of us, 2 years of breastfeeding, or 1 year and a half is what is recommended, one
Mhm.
1 or 2 years. So it's a lot of investment from us. The men, they don't have to invest, especially if they are unconscious men, they don't have to invest. So why are you choosing those men? Out of disconnection from yourself, from your
Yep.
needs, and also because you don't know how to recognize. You have this whole thing that an emotional man is good because he's in touch with his emotions, but maybe he's actually traumatized and he hasn't worked himself. So he's
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to do all that healing together while you're trying to raise a newborn. Like it's very unbalanced. It's really triggering. I don't want to say a hell, but it is I just remember like crying to sleep a lot. Like that's kind of stuff that you see in movies, but like that is seriously what a lot of survivors deal with in a, having staying with someone, specifically this situation, staying with someone because they had a child with them, and trying to make that work and it just being like the worst thing for yourself and and being a mother and for the child, like it's not best. And it's something I think people are moving away from, but this whole idea of keeping the family together, like I feel like people are moving it to an extreme to like, separate right away and, have a kid right away, separate right away, and then just do it on your own. And that's also not healthy. So that intertwine, we're always talking about codependence and independence, but like you said, it's a lot of intertwining that I want people to recognize, like putting those two together. I say a lot that I feel people are thinking of things in a black and white. That's all I can think of, black and white, but like just here or there. No, nothing else in between. It's like I know we hate to talk about gray areas, but when it comes to life and spirituality and all the above, there are areas in between this, guys. And I don't know where this came from, or is it more just living from a survival mode type of aspect? But that's why I do the things I do, is because I realized it from the children that I was working with, and I know that way more children need the guidance and the stuff that I'm learning, and a lot of people aren't even receptive to reach out to find out these resources. So
Yeah, and as you say something interesting, all this burden that family and children represent. And so I see it as this. Imagine somebody drinking, there's a popular alcoholic drink in my country. I think it's whiskey with coconut water.
oh,
And so, yeah, so they mix that. And then let's say somebody drinks that, and then the next day they feel bad, right? And they're going to be like, oh, that coconut water, that was terrible. No, it was the whiskey. Okay, it
yeah.
was a whiskey. Not the. Don't blame it on the coconut water. Coconut water is actually all the sueros. How do you call this? That they sell in the pharmacies.
Oh, like a medicine or an aid or
No,
something?
no, no. These electrolytes that they sell,
Oh, okay.
those are based on the coconut water. It's like a
Oh,
fake, less good copy of the coconut water. And the
that's
coconut
everything
water,
in.
yeah, the coconut water you can make each actually transfusions even with it. Because it's isotonic with the blood, at least in animals, it's isotonic with the blood, and the only difference is that instead of magnesium, our blood has our iron. And so the thing is that coconut water is amazing. So that's not the problem. The problem is the whiskey. I see the same with blaming the children. Oh, children are the burden. That's not how children. Your mistake was having children. No, your mistake was choosing the wrong partner, choosing the wrong moment.
Yeah,
So you gotta educate yourself to prevent that.
yeah.
Um, every single woman I know, there's no one single woman that hasn't told me this. After I had a child, I realized how selfish I was. Or, usually it's how selfish. I'm not saying that
Mhm.
all mothers are good because a bunch of mothers have a lot of trauma that they haven't healed and they, are terrible mothers. Um, but at least they
Yeah,
realize, which is the first step to transform
yeah,
their darkness.
yeah,
It humbles you. So the growth is amazing. The growth, the inner growth that children bring to us is amazing. And it's a spiritual growth. It's a mirror. It's a constant mirror.
yes, yes, it is.
So the materialistic society is blaming children. They are embracing money, embracing pleasure over anything else, right? And they are still having sex, but with no consequence, which, the natural consequence is having a child. So they are all this, the pill, the abortions, and all these
Birth
kind of things
control.
are making in such a way that you can access that pleasure unconsciously and not deal with the consequence. So there's no lesson.
Yeah, yeah, wow. I know that we're going to have another discussion because there's like so many things that I want to branch off and talk about, but I just want to thank you for your my perspective for me when it comes to agriculture and plants and vegetables and just all of that, because I can't wait to start delving into that and really connecting in it in a different way, instead of looking like, okay, this plant needs this much water and this plant needs this much. So, like, I'm like actually going to look at things. And I want to mention too that for the longest, I'm a very big tattoo person, but for the longest, I wanted to get lotus flower with my daughter's name in it on my shoulder. And now I just feel like there's so many things of just tattoos that I've gotten in my early 20s that are just like, I like it and it has this meaning, but they're really symbolic to me now. And it's crazy that I like even would just, I like that flower. I think it would mean something inspirational for me and my daughter. And now even just meeting you and you having a program called the Lotus Flower and learning all of this about a lotus is like those mind-boggling moments that I have lately. But one thing I want to take away before you tell everyone where we can find you and stuff, is just a lot of people are in that stuck phase, and in order to grow, the recognition and the identifying and searching has to happen. And that invitation, a lot of people will see that invitation as bad karma or something. And I just invite people to look at, grief and the things that happen to them in a different way and make and alchemize off of it, make it a good thing. And I just feel like if people just think neuro repattering, just think a little bit differently, their whole life will change. They'll look back at themselves 6 months or 10 years, 10 months like later and just be like, wow, just that one thought or me talking to that one person made me see every other aspect of my life. Because there's so many aspects of our life that relationships, money, and work and family, and like that we don't think about. We just think in a certain way because our brain has just been trained to think in a certain way, just a forward moving machine that we're just like, okay, this is how everything's always gone, this is how things go for me, and this is what it is. But I just love your perspective on everything. It's been so nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're so receptive too, and I'm sure um, you will find the best way for your daughter and you. My mission is to help women to realize their true power, connect with their true power, activate their true power, embrace the strong masculine on time,
Yeah.
and yeah, transmute that darkness. So, so thankful to be here. Anyone who is listening, you can contact me in my webpage is lotusactivation.co, C-O, not with the M as
Mhm.
Colorado. So lotusactivation.co. And there you can also schedule a free discovery call with me in case you want to work with me. Um, and what else? My TikTok is lotus.activation. I think it's lotus.activation.
I'll have everything tagged.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Um, I do mentoring. I do like packages of mentoring, and I also have a course. I work with White Tantra, which is the self-activation. All these techniques that are breathing techniques, physical exercises, and reprogramming meditations that I work with, and then the Red Tantra, which is this whole connection with the other. So, dynamics of eroticism, because eroticism is key in relationships. Relationships die because of lack of eroticism. So if the women have low libido, usually they are, if it's not a hormonal or a chemical issue, it's really depression, self-esteem. So that has to be healed, right?
Hmm.
And also the men has to learn how to touch, how to activate. And then they also learn that the woman have to learn all these techniques. So I teach all of that in case you're interested. Um, and yeah, let's keep talking. Sending you much blessings. Again, I remind you to think about the flower.
Yes. That would be a nice thing, just to meditate. I was just closing my eyes and just thinking of a flower bloom. And I talk about flowers and blooming a lot, especially with my daughter. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that is the end of our episode, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.